12 delicious flour substitutes to get baking with. Lots of us are looking for good flour substitutes as we bake our way through the coronavirus lockdown. Hello. Maybe you're working with dietary restrictions or food allergies, in the mood to mix it up, or just trying to resourcefully ride out a local all-purpose white flour shortage at your grocery store. I've been to 6 grocery stores on multiple days looking for all-purpose flour and still haven't been able to find it. Self-columnist Jessica Jones, MS.RD, certified diabetes educator and co-founder of Food Heaven, tells Self. Whatever the reason, you can find a flour substitute suited to your needs. The best part is that you might even be able to skip the store run. A lot of these flour alternatives can be made using grains, nuts, and seeds already sitting in your pantry. Grind them to a flour-like texture in a food processor, high-powered blender, spice grinder, or coffee grinder. There are so many alternative flours you can work with nowadays, each with its unique flavors and baking properties. Abby Sharp, RD, of Abby's Kitchen, tells Self. Think about using these flours as a way to add texture and flavor to baked goods. Rachel Hartley, RD, certified intuitive eating counselor and owner of Rachel Hartley Nutrition, tells Self. Each flour also brings its own nutritional richness to the table, offering varying amounts of fat, protein, carbs, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. If you're new to baking with these different flours, keep in mind that their uniqueness also means you often can't simply swap them in for all-purpose flour and get good results. Some flours need more eggs or liquid. Others need other binders or additions to ensure they perform, Sharp explains. So it's a good idea to follow a recipe written using that particular flour, like the recipes provided below, or do a little research to see how different flours convert and start by subbing only small amounts of regular flour, Sharp says. Don't be afraid to experiment. 1. Almond flour. Almond flour is usually made with almonds that have been blanched and then finely ground to a light, floury texture. Unblanched almond flour is made from almonds that still have their skin on. Its sister, almond meal, is simply a little more coarsely ground. Both are easy to make at home with whole almonds are and rich in protein, unsaturated fat, and vitamin E. Almond flour is surprisingly versatile and easy to work with. Alyssa Rumsey, MS.RD, founder of Alyssa Rumsey Nutrition and Wellness, tells Self she likes to use it in place of breadcrumbs or swap it in for white flour in baked goods like brownies. Sharp likes making cookies with almond flour, like these almond sugar cookies. 2. Coconut flour. Coconut flour is made from coconut pulp that's been dried out and then ground up. It's high in fiber. Coconut flour is not good for one-to-one substitutions because it bakes very differently from white flour and fellow flour substitutes, absorbing a ton of moisture and yielding a denser, heavier texture. It requires more eggs or wet ingredients to perform, Sharp says. She finds it ideal for quick breads with lots of wet ingredients, like banana bread. 3. Quinoa flour. Quinoa flour is a good alternative for people who can't have wheat, Cording says. While you can buy it at the store, you can also make this higher protein flour at home using raw quinoa seeds if you have them on hand. Rumsey says quinoa flour can be used in muffins, pancakes, and breads. However, it doesn't always hold its shape as well as other flours, Cording notes, so she suggests combining it with other flours for a better result. 4. Chickpea flour. Made from finely ground dried garbanzo beans, chickpea flour is high in protein and fiber, making it pretty filling. Chickpea flour is great for adding texture and holds together pretty well, Cording says. She recommends using it for savory and sweet goods like crepes, pancakes, soka, breads, or dumplings. However, it has a nutty, earthy taste, and some people might not like that, Cording says. 5. Brown rice flour. Made from finely ground brown rice, this high-fiber flour has a light and powdery texture similar to white flour, Rumsey says, making it ideal for baked goods. Cording says it's a great option for people who are new to alternative flours. It's pretty easy to work with and doesn't have a strong flavor, she says. 6. Oat flour. Oat flour might be one of the greatest flour substitutes because of how damn convenient it is. If you've got oats in your pantry, then you've got oat flour. It's got a nice amount of protein and fiber, plus a tender texture and mild taste that make it pretty versatile. I use it in a lot of my recipes including pancakes, protein bars, and cookies, Sharp says. 7. Spelt flour. Spelt is a kind of whole grain wheat flour that does a pretty good job of mimicking regular wheat flour, thanks to its gluten content and low density. Beth Warren, RDN, founder of Beth Warren Nutrition and author of Living a Real Life with Real Food, tells Self. Moderately high in protein and fiber, it yields a nice, fluffy texture and works pretty well for one-to-one substitutions in a wide variety of baked goods, Warren says. 8. Buckwheat flour. Buckwheat flour is made from grain-like buckwheat seeds, or groats. It's actually not a type of wheat and is therefore gluten-free. It's got a good bit of protein and fiber, along with a lovely taste. Buckwheat flour has a really rich, nutty, and earthy flavor that I just love, says Hartley, who likes using it in combination with other flours. A classic way to use it is to make buckwheat pancakes. Try these buckwheat double chocolate cookies from Cookie Plus Kate. 9. Rye flour. Rye flour is milled from rye kernels, a type of cereal grain, and varies in color from light to dark depending mainly on how much of the whole grain it contains, the Whole Grains Council explains. Dark rye flour usually contains more of the whole grain, making it higher in fiber and heavier in texture than more refined light rye flour. Rye flour has a malty, earthy, slightly sour flavor that adds complexity to baked goods like crackers and the classic rye bread, Hartley says. Although it's not as commonly used in sweet baked goods, Hartley says it enhances rustic desserts like crumbles. 10. Amaranth flour. Amaranth seeds are a pseudo-grain, like quinoa, that can be milled into an unusual flour containing a decent amount of protein and fiber. You might describe the flavor as earthy or grassy. It's a very heavy flour, so you'll probably want to use it in combination with other flours that are lighter in texture, like regular all-purpose flour, Hartley says. I would try swapping it for about 25% of the regular all-purpose flour in bread to add texture, flavor, and protein. 11. Tef flour. Tef is a staple grain that grows predominantly in Ethiopia and Eritrea, where it's most commonly ground into a flour and used to make injera, a spongy sourdough flatbread, Jones explains. It's also great for providing a nutty and earthy flavor in baked goods like quick breads and muffins, Rumsey says, and works well in combination with other gluten-free flours. No matter what you use it for, it's a highly nutritious option that is rich in protein and fiber. 12. Millet flour. Millet is another tiny grain-like seed containing a modest amount of protein and fiber. It yields a flour with a soft, starchy consistency, Jones explains, which makes it a great choice for gluten-free baked goods like cookies, muffins, and chocolate cake. However, most people recommend mixing millet with at least one other flour when baking to enhance the flavor, Jones says. Try these sweet potato millet pancakes from the Full Helping,